Okay, and looks like we're in there now, and just wanted to check to see if we have audio. Um, Checking to see if we have audio. One moment. Trying to get an audio check. Just verifying to see if we have audio, and asking to check with Steve if we have audio. Test, 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 test. Okay, one moment. Okay, we're trying to restart again. As I mentioned, the one mover today has been the Australian dollar with the surprise elections, and we can see here back on Friday it was doing absolutely nothing, even though it got past the 161%. And we'll continue to go and see a pretty good move here. We'll go and also take a look here on the second screen. And you can see here with the Euro Aussie, that has just about come right in here into this trend line here. So we've already had a pretty good fallback in here, right down here into the 61 cents. There's just a little bit of a support just below that at 60.89 in case we get a little bit further dip. But you can see here with all the Aussie pairs, we've seen a pretty good run. You can see here right now with the Australian, the Aussie yen, coming right here into some resistance. Right here at 76.42, currently at 76.37. Just trying to break above that trend line. There we go. So let's go on and switch over to the next screen, the past screen. So hang on one second. Let's see how well this works. Once again, like I said, a little bit of a bumpiness here. Just trying to get used to navigating around this screen. And we did have German PPI earlier. As we go into the States, we're going to have National Activity Index. So let's go and switch back into the main screen again. And see if I can't get used to the okay, so seems I can see this here also. So let me try and keep track of this. Thanks for all your patience here. Just trying to navigate. I was in the platform early enough, but Steve was saying I was using the wrong link. So let's go on and I don't. Hopefully that doesn't cut that off right there. There we go. So let's just go in and before we jump into the analysis, then we'll just cover, obviously, we already know it's a pretty big news story here with the Australian. We'll take a look at the morning bid. What's next for the Aussie Chancellor, Sebastian Kurz, after he jettisoned at his weekend far-right coalition ally, the Freedom Party, whose leader was caught on video offering dodgy state contracts to the supposed niece of a Russian oligarch. This was the latest in a string of scandals involving the party that risked becoming a liability for Kurz and his own image. The decision to call a snap election, which could now take place as early as September. That's Austria, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go on to the market. Trade war twists and turns. Election results and data showed unexpected acceleration of the world's third biggest economy in the first quarter, dominated world markets first thing Monday, and traders tried to find a level after jarring week in the Sino-U.S. trade row. Although global index is steady, Chinese markets continue to suffer after news that Google suspended some businesses with Hawaii following Washington's blacklisting of the Chinese telecoms giant last week. Shanghai and Hong Kong stocks led by Hawaii suppliers skidded almost 1%, while other regional markets firmed. The offshore yuan did claw back some ground from the 2019 lows. Australia's main stock index ended up almost 2% higher, and the Aussie dollar staged its biggest one-day jump since January after the ruling centre-right Conservative government defied opinion polls and won weekend elections. The global market mood also helped by news on Friday that Washington could lift steel tariffs on Canada, a move that would likely accelerate the inkling of a North American free trade deal, and some other countries' hope might be applied elsewhere as the U.S. narrowed its trade focus on China. Elections are a dominant theme in Europe, too, with the European Parliament back on Thursday and news of a snap election. And oil prices were higher as the Saudi energy minister indicates supply cuts would continue amid tensions between the U.S. and Iran heightened. On the European corporate front, Ryanair shares were seen falling 3.5%. And of course, if we just point out Germany, we had the April producer prices index. Bank of England Deputy Governor Broadbent speaks in London today. And let's go on and move on right into FX. Australian dollar jumps after the election surprise and yen edges lower. The Australian dollar rallied against the greenback on Monday after a surprise election victory by the country's conservative government, while the yen eased as risk appetite improved slightly. The dollar index against a basket of currencies was a shade higher at 98.02. The dollar index having booked its biggest weekly rise since March last week. The Aussie was up 0.7 at 69.16, having bounced back from a 4-month trough of 68.65. It briefly was quoted as high as 69.90, but dealers said it was a mishit at the actual transacted peak. The currency jumped after Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison's center-right Liberal National Coalition scored a knock-win in federal elections, beating the center-left Labor Party, who had been tipped to win. The election result helped provide stability to the country's economic outlook, and analysts said, as some had feared, a win for the less business-friendly center-left Labor Party could have undermined growth. There's a sense of security with the continuation of the current government, said Yukio Ishizuki. The risk is economy will experience a big drop and decrease considerably as a result. They also found support on the statement from the China Central Bank on Sunday that it would maintain the stability of its yuan with a reasonable and balanced range. The yuan was hit recently in the wake of the intensifying trade tensions. And as far as the Canadian dollar, advanced 0.25% to 31.43 against the yen. The dollar added, building on last week's gains when it booked its first weekly gain. The yen dipped on a slight improvement in risk appetite, with data showing the Japanese economy unexpectedly accelerated in the last quarter, defying expectations for a mild contraction. The world's biggest economy grew at an annualized rate of 2.1%. The government data showed accelerating slightly from the previous quarter. The euro, and just to catch my breath, I've got coming off a pretty bad cold. The euro steady at 11.55, having dropped last week on commitments from Italian Deputy Minister Salvini and European Union rules harm his country. Market participants will also watch out for European readings for Private Purchasing Managers Index that measures activity and services, Manufacturing due on Thursday after data beat last week showed the German economy returned to growth in the first quarter of 2019. If we see good PMIs, the euro will form a bottom. It could begin the start of the recovery, said Masafumi Yamamoto. Moving on to the analysis. So let's take a look at where we stand here with the euro dollar. And I did all the basic technical analysis for all the majors and the cross rates that we do cover here. So taking a look here on the euro, obviously the big movers are in the Aussie. But you can see here with the euro that we've started to slide back down again. And the basic analysis I would put on here, the euro continues on a steady track to 1262. The daily close, okay, and that was the old one. That was the old one, so let's remove that one. I thought we'd already put that one on there. Here it was. I don't know why we don't have that there. We can actually go into... That was the one that I didn't update here. And there it is. You go to the basic technical. The euro finished the week on its lows. Prior to the pairs open to start the week with a challenge of 1130. A daily close will target 110 with a pause at 1080. Resistance is 1204 with a major at 1262. So let's get rid of this here too. So we're open the door to right now. This is the level to look at right now is going to be 1130. Now, whether we get there or not, but like I said, this has been in a pretty good solid sell. Really, actually, if you think about it, since back in March, if you look on the exponential moving averages, despite some run-ups, it still has not been able to go on and get anything going as far as momentum. So there's a potential here that we can start the week, like as I said, testing 1130. We'll see what the dollar index does, but let's get with the bias chart. Well, it's going to be, well, would be, I don't want to call it terminable, but for the years, if we do get a daily close below 1130, then the next target would be 110 even, with a pause at around 1080, but 110 would be the target then. If we get a daily close below 1130, we do have the potential to go and take a dip down here, but we'll see how this goes and plays out. Obviously, the dollar is going to have a big say-so in this. Now, let's go and take a look as far as resistance. We'll move into the 2-hour chart. For right now, resistance is going to come in right there at 112 even. Actually move this right here. For right now, it's going to be 112 even. Relatively close, but it's been having a tough time here with the euro. The euro has, so let's move this. And back with cable and the analysis for cable. Once again, it's the basic and technical analysis. So we have our posting on. Cable continues its relentless fall, finishing the week on its lows. A value level does come in at 127 even, considering how oversold the market currently is. Beyond is 25.90, the 78% of the move from 23.74 to 33.81. Initial resistance comes in at 28.25. So we're looking, you can see here on the daily here, and we start out the week with our basic technical analysis, kind of get an overview looking from the daily perspective, and you can see here good solid support here at this 127. We're working, just trying to push up a little bit harder, but boy, this market has really just been, as I said, nothing short of just relentless how tough it had been. We're just kind of popping up a little bit, nothing to really hang your hat on. We'll just stay with 127 even right there for support. We said real resistance doesn't come until 28.25. We'll take a look here on the 2-hour chart. So we can still dip down in here to 27 even, but resistance, even if you're looking on the 2-hour chart, coming right there, 27B 128. Did mention about 28.25 here on the daily, but we'll go with 128 for starters here on the 2-hour chart. Oh, you see still bearish. Obviously, the big mover has been the Australian dollar with the surprise elections. It says Aussie's fall has gained momentum with the talk of a sooner rate cut. The election over the weekend may slow things down a bit because remember, this is before we had the election. Support here at 68.64, which is 78%. Initial resistance comes in at 69.45, and there's a resistance right there, 69.45. So we'll go with that for right now, although we've had a pretty stellar run up in here, but 69.45 is resistance. And let's take a look at the 2-hour chart for some support. And there's a 69.45 support. Coming right there, 69. We'll call it 69.09 for now. On the dips back, they'll be trying to pick them back up. And as far as Kiwi continues his downward journey, but has moved into a value area of 69.46, 65.17. The pair will likely find some short covering. Initial resistance is 65.74, with a close above 66.25 needed to generate further buying. So we were saying we're looking for 65.74. Well, there it is. We're quite still ways away from that, but we'll go with that. 65.74, and support's going to be 65.17. And the support remains the same here. And moving on to the dollar CAD. So it says dollar CAD has been able to take out the daily close of the elusive 135 cents. The pair is making marking time. An upside breakout will allow a challenge of 36.75. Support on a sustained break will come in at 32.70. We're doing a whole bunch of nothing here on this dollar CAD. We just haven't been able to. We look like we might start to take off on Friday. We quickly gave up the gains, and really, when you think about it, probably caught some people trapped as they took out 35 cents. So the onus now is probably going to be to the downside. We'll take a look at it on a 2-hour chart. For right now, we're going to keep it. I think he's going to have a tough time right in there. 34.70. So resistance is going to be 34.70 with support coming in right there at 33.90. This market is open to a further slide back, but for now, overall, it's still a bullish market. And let's go into the dollar peso. We're still above this trend line after we broke above it, but we haven't done a whole lot with it. But look on here, it says the peso remains above the downtrend line, but has not generated much upside enthusiasm. The market needs a daily close above the formidable 1923.6 level. Exponential moving averages are in a buy mode for over a week. Support is followed at 1905 and then by 1893. Give me one moment. So you can see here that we did break that downtrend line. We just haven't done a whole lot with it. Now, we've been in a buy mode for over a week, but we just haven't generated much interest. But this has been our resistance, and that's been our resistance for most of last week, that 1923.6, and it has not been able to take it out. So that'll be our bias chart resistance. I think it still already is the same. Yep, 1923.6. And we're saying that support comes in. Support comes in at 1905, followed by 1893. We're just kind of stuck in this little quagmire. Let's go and move into the dollar yen. This is a Jolly yen close a week above 995. The market's open for a challenge of 1062/80 with a pause at 1031, which is at 38% of 902 to 1241. Support comes in at 970. So the high was just that 1031. Actually, it looks like it got up to 1032. And there's that 38%. We were talking about the importance of it. It got pull above 995, and support comes in at 970. So we're going to go with that and potentially get up to 1062. We did reach that 1031 to 38%. So we know support comes at 970. So if you think that the dollar yen will slide back, you'd be looking to try and cover as we went down there. If you really think that this was just a fake breakout, and it wasn't much of a breakout, but it was important that we got above that 995. For now, we'll go with 10. We'd mentioned that 1061. We'll go with 1061. It still remains bearish overall, but we almost get to a point that it's almost to a neutral point, but let's go into the cash dollar index. So it says the dollar index has reclaimed the 97.89 allowing for a challenge of 98.73 with immediate resistance at 98.33. Support is 97.53. So that immediate resistance is going to be this 98.33. Now, as I mentioned, it does have the option, not the option, but the ability to get up here to this 98.73. But immediately, it's going to be that 98.33, those highs right there. So and the real support on this thing, you can make the case right in here, 97, just right in here, 97.60. Our daily is 52, but on a pullback, be 97.60. And let's get into the cross rates. looking here with the Kiwi yen. Yeah, I haven't seen that much of a change here. Move this up in here. Downside momentum remains stalwart. On a short-term basis, the market is targeting the 70.98, which is a 78% of the 69.41, 76.80. Initial resistance is 72.33. You see that comes in right there. A daily close above 72.84 would curtail the downside. This market would work off oversold indicators. So 72.33 is going to be immediate resistance here. Boy, this thing is trading tight as a drum. Really too tight. Be 71.85. This almost just too. Yeah, right there. 71.78. And let's go move into the euro yen. The euro yen is attempting a bottom, having tagged the 22.15, which is a 61%. You can see that right there. Okay. Additional support is 21.95. The pair needs a daily close above 23.50 to stave off further bearish aggression. A daily close above 2400 will provide a bullish outlook. So we still have this downtrend line sticking right here, and we still haven't been able to really garner much of a move higher. Trying to push a little bit, but that trend line, the resistance coming in here is going to be right there for now. It's going to be 23.62. For now, support's going to come in at 22.44. They break that on a 2-hour closing. We're just heading much slower, but it's going to be 22.44 is important. And on to the Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro odd continued its upside drive as Aussie suffered a miserable week. Surprise election results of the weekend may stifle the pair's ascent. The chasm between the exponential moving averages between the 9 and 27 is exceptionally wide, suggesting the market is susceptible to a decent pullback. Immediate resistance is 62.62 with support at 62 even, followed by 61.58. Well, we had a pretty good fallback in here. You can see that here. um, in light of those, as we said, surprise results. Let's remove this. And we're just below this trend line. There's some additional support at 89. And you can see here also 84. Pretty solid there. 60, 80. Let's just go with 60, 80 for support. But we had a pretty good pullback. May start to try and see if they can pick themselves up a little bit. You can see here they're coming off that trend line. They just about tagged that trend line perfectly. Resistance is going to come in right there at 61.58. Obviously still bullish. And onto the Euro Kiwi. Euro Kiwi has reached major level 71.31. You can see it right here. Confluence was 71.14. The 50% of the entire move is 62.91 to 79.32. A respite is likely in the cards. Resistance is 72.21 with initial support at 70.63. So which looks like we may have just reached, there's a key area here. If you look at this going across, look at that. Huge. You see that 71.31? Oh, let's take a look at where we stand here on the 2 hour. We go with resistance right there, that little gap there. 71.11. And support comes in right there, 70.25. And on to the Aussie yen. Sorry about that. And the Aussie yen has reached the 75.31 level. Confluence was 75.66 to 50% of this entire move, 70.60 to 80.72. The pair needs a daily close above 76.36 to stymie the downside momentum. A daily close above 76.96 would signal a bottom is in place. Support comes in at 74.73. Well, we got this jump, obviously, with the Aussie data. So let's get a little bit closer look on resistance and support. We're here looking at a daily chart. Well, there's a resistance we ran into. Look at that, 76.40. See that? Actually, is 76. $43. That's what it is. There, 76.43. Support right now would come in 76 even. Let's see, maybe a little bit of a touch just below. Call it 75.98. 75.98. And move into the guppy. This guppy has reached major level 39.95, confluencing with 39.80 to 50% of the move of 30.74 to 48.89. Additional support is 39.12. Resistance is 40.76 and needs a daily close above 41.87 to quell the downside. Boy, we still didn't get much of a move up in here. If you think about it, look at that. Got up to 40.50. We're not able to even make it to the 40.76. Let's take a look on the 2-hour chart. We'll go there for now, right across this level. 40.64. And support at 39.78. And let's go to the we're just stuck on this line here. Let's take a look. Sterling Nod is sliding into support level 84.90, confluence with 84.92. The 50% resistance is 86.56. Daily exponential moving averages remain in the buy mode with the pair into the slower 27 exponential moving average. So what we're talking about is here. Of course, we had this gap. And this is support coming in right there. It dipped just a little bit more. Let's take a look at our 2-hour. right there. We'll call it 83.58 for support. And resistance right there, 84.68. 84.69. I'm having some problems breathing, so okay, well, that's the bias chart resistance. I'll get that posted into the room. And thanks for joining us here on the European crossover webinar on the Zoom platform. Thank you very much.